see a star.
Venus, Mercury.
They're pretty bright right now. Mars looks pretty good in the sky. You see red.
Maybe just the kitchen light would be in the back window.
Erev Tov, Tisha B'Av. You don't say Tisha B'Av Samech, but it is Tisha B'Av. 1,950 years since the destruction of the Beit Hamikdash. That number should sit with us. 1950. Almost 2,000 years ago, Am Yisrael left home. And yes, I know we've returned partially, that's what I'll speak about tonight. But the Beit Hamikdash is still destroyed. Tisha B'Av is still applicable. In the past, they used to teach a lot on the nighttime of Tisha B'Av, the different midrashim. The midrashim about the first temple and the second temple, very gruesome and bloody details of body parts strewn around and prophets being murdered in cold blood. But since we started Kehillat HaShamayim, my shift has changed a little of Tisha B'Av. I feel like we have together a group of people who Yirei Shamayim, who appreciate HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His Torah and His mitzvot and the tragedy of this day. And that we must focus instead of what can we do to end this Churban, to end this destruction, and to bring about the redemption. And so I've chosen every year to focus my shift my focus to that, tonight included. There are a lot of nonsensical terms that float around the world. The one you hear the most on Tisha B'Av is sinat chinam, baseless hatred. There's no such thing as sinat chinam, as baseless hatred. I hate him for no reason. I hate her for no reason. I always have a reason why I hate somebody. We have 1,001 reasons why we hate people. So that kind of hatred is okay. But the hatred that's baseless, that has no reason, that's silly hatred. Why do you hate somebody for no reason? There's a last breed on earth that you don't have to be tolerant of. You should tolerate everybody except for those who are not tolerant. Racists. Racists hate people because this one's black, because this one's white, because this one... That might be baseless hatred. But HaShamayim didn't blame us with such stupidity. To think that we will be racist, how could you consider yourself a Jew and be a racist? And if you are Jewish and you are a racist, so go to the mikveh. Take a blowtorch and fix that part of you. There's no room for that in Judaism. But when it comes to the story of the Churban, of the Beit Hamikdash, of the destruction of the Beit Hamikdash, there's a reason. There were problems, and those problems still exist. If those problems didn't exist, we wouldn't be sitting here 1,950 years later. If those problems were over, we would already be in Yerushalayim with the Beit Hamikdash. And it's our job to focus, to understand why are we here? What are we sitting here for? What is the purpose? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? How do I know to fix the problem if I don't know what the problem is? And so tonight I wish to explore with you a little bit from the writings of Rabbi Yonatan Halevy, who my neshama has been very connected to recently. What is Tisha B'Av about? What are we doing here tonight? The Rambam in the laws of fasts, Taniyot, Hilchot Taniyot, in the 5th chapter says, Yesh sham yamim, there are days shekol Yisrael mitanim bahem, that all the Jewish people have to fast over. Mipnei hatzarot she'iru bahem, because of the tragedies that happened on those days. So would you mind closing that door? Kedei le'orer halevavot. What's the purpose we fast on those days? What value is there in mourning a tragedy? Sometimes I go to a shiva house. Not sure we should ever have to be there. Or to a yard site of somebody, an askara after a year. And I hear people talking, and sometimes it would be better that people just didn't talk. You know, they're cooking with unbelievable. You know, they were the best racquetball player, and that's what you're telling about a person a year after they passed away? That's what you're sitting here for? What purpose is there in remembering someone who passed away? Let's be honest. It's Tisha B'Av. They're gone. They're in a better place. They don't need you to talk about them. They need your praises. Rav Kapach writes that in Yemen, that was the proper way to mourn people, not like what he saw in Israel. Unfortunately, the Sfaradim are the worst of this. We have the most exaggerated crying in the funerals, falling over each other, people passing out water bottles. In Yemen, the Chachamim, the whole point of the funeral, of the Shiva, of the Shloshim, of the Askara, had nothing to do with the person who passed away. Wake up to do teshuvah. Ben Adam, Malacha Nirdam. What are you falling asleep in this world? Human being, what are you? You think you're going to live forever? Tomorrow I'll do mitzvot. Next week I'll start keeping Shabbat. A few months from now I'll be a better person. Do you have time? Who promises you it's not going to be tomorrow? To wake up, wake up, wake up. Uru yishani mishnatchem, says the Rambam. Rosh Hashanah, the shofar blows. Wake up, you sleepy people, from your sleep. How long are you going to be a zombie for? That's what a person passes for. Tisha B'Av, you're going to cry over a building. The Beit HaMikdash needs you to cry for it. Hashem needs you to sit there, oh, we don't have Beit HaMikdash. Hashem needs that. Hashem destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. If he wants to rebuild it, he'll rebuild it. Crying isn't going to help. Why are we fasting, says the Rambam? Why are we mourning? Kidei le'orer halevavot, to awaken the hearts. Liftoach darchei teshuvah, to open up the roads to teshuvah. A person should walk away from Tisha B'Av. Wow, I need to do teshuvah. I have to become a better person. I'm not doing enough in this world. I haven't changed the world enough. I have Elul right around the corner. 3 weeks from now, you're going to start saying slichot. 3 weeks from now. We wake up to speak about our avirot. Now is the time to wake up. Don't wait until then. And it should remind us of our evil actions. And the actions of our forefathers. That we're doing the same thing they're doing. Until Hashem caused these things to happen to us and our forefathers because of the things we did wrong. Because if we remind ourselves of what happened on Tisha B'Av, then we'll do Teshuvah. So the purpose of tonight is not to rebuild the Beit HaMikdash. The purpose of tonight is to rebuild yourself. To rebuild your connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To rebuild your connection to the Torah, to the mitzvot, to the people of Israel. That's what Tisha B'Av is for. That's why we're here. Veluhen Yom Gimel B'Tishrei, the 3rd of Tishrei. What's on the 3rd of Tishrei? The fast of Gedaliah. V'Asara B'Tevet, the 10th of Tevet. And the 17th of Tammuz, V'Tisha B'Av. That's what the Rambam says. So the Rambam answered our question. Why do we fast on Tisha B'Av? Why are we mourning on Tisha B'Av? We mourn to remember what do we do wrong. That our forefathers also did wrong, because Hashem wouldn't punish us for something we don't do. Rather, we're living in the consequences, in the wake of what our forefathers did wrong, and that's why we're still here. And when we awaken our hearts to do teshuvah, to realize our averot, and come close to Hashem, then we're fulfilling what the meaning of Tisha B'Av is. That's the Rambam's answer to a good question. Hashem doesn't need you to cry over sticks and stones, but over yourself, over your neshama. The problem is that the Rambam doesn't give us a source for this. It's a nice idea, that's why we fast Tisha B'Av, but it doesn't say that anywhere. And some commentators say, okay, so the Rambam came up with a good reason for why you fasted Tisha B'Av on his own. The problem is that anyone who's ever studied the Rambam knows that when the Rambam is going to make something up, when he's quoting himself, he says, Yira'eli, it appears to me that this is the reason why we do something. But when the Rambam doesn't say that, then he means he must have a source. So Rav Chaim David Halevy suggests the source is from a Talmud Yerushalmi. A Talmud Yerushalmi that you're familiar with. But the ending you might not be so familiar with. The Talmud Yerushalmi says, that we know that the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, the first Bet HaMikdash, from what? The Jews worshipped idols. They were involved in illicit relationships. And they were murderers. So Hashem destroyed the Bet HaMikdash. But says Talmud Yerushalmi, but we know the people of the second generation. They were righteous people. So why did their Bet HaMikdash get destroyed? The Gemara says, Ela shayu ohavim et hamamon. They loved money. V'sonim elu le'elu sinat chinam. And they hated each other. Sinat chinam. It's real hatred. They loved money and they hated each other. If I could just give a shiur on they loved money, we could be here all night. I'm choosing to focus instead on the second part of Sinat Chinam. Sharut Rabbi Eliezer. They asked Rabbi Eliezer, who's worse? That generation or our generation? Said Rabbi Eliezer, that generation were idol worshippers and murderers. And Hashem brought them back after 70 years. Our generation is worse. 1950, we're still here. But they say, listen, come on. Are we as bad as the people who destroyed the Bet HaMikdash? Says Rabbi Eliezer, שכל דור שאינו נבנה בימיו מעלין עליו כאילו הוא החריבו. We're the ones who destroyed the Bet HaMikdash. Because any generation in which the Bet HaMikdash is not rebuilt means that we're a generation that is worthy of having our Bet HaMikdash destroyed. So if there's no Bet HaMikdash in Yerushalayim now, understand it's our fault. Because if we would have done Teshuvah, there would be a Bet HaMikdash already. And if there's no Bet HaMikdash, it's a sign that we're not doing something right. And that's what we're doing here at Tisha B'Av. To remind ourselves that there's no Bet HaMikdash on Har HaBayit because of us. Don't blame people in the past. Don't blame the stories in Yirmiyahu, and don't blame the stories in the second Bet HaMikdash from Masechet Gittin. Blame ourselves. Clearly, we're upholding the same averot that our forefathers were, and that's the reason why we're still sitting here. But we live in an interesting time. And the time is one that our Kehillat believes in very much. This is Reshit Tzmichat Geulateinu. We're living in the beginning of our redemption. We have a state of Israel. We have a land of Israel. We have an army of Israel, a Knesset of Israel. We're not stuck in exile. Really, if you wanted to, tomorrow, you could just make Aliyah and go to Israel. So says Rav Chaim David Halevy, we have to reassess what Tisha B'Av is for us today. So Rav Chaim David Halevy, for us, Tisha B'Av is a day of an incomplete redemption. Yes, the Jewish people came back home, but not because we merited to come back home. Our rabbis say there are two ways to come back. Be'ita, at the right time, or Hashem will hurry up Mashiach because we merit for the Mashiach to come. We didn't merit for the Mashiach to come, and because of that, things happened in a natural process. The Jewish people came back home. We started building a country, but that country is riddled with problems. Perhaps the greatest problem that we have today in the land of Israel, says Rav Chaim David Halevy, is the fact that we have constant war with the people around us who still haven't made peace. Not with us, but with the fact that we're back home. They haven't made peace with the fact that Am Yisrael didn't just come back home, but they're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. And therefore, our Bet HaMikdash is still not built. And so we have to say there must be something that was relevant then, that destroyed the Bet HaMikdash, that still exists today. And that's the reason why it hasn't been built. This is the first story. It's found in Masechet Gittin on page 56. The Gemara says that the city of Yerushalayim was destroyed because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. Kamsa and Bar Kamsa were two people who have the similar names. By the way, I'm not certain that they were not father and son. There is a commentary that suggests such a thing. Because Kamsa, Bar Kamsa means the son of Kamsa. Some suggest Kamsa is from the language of a stingy person. Kamsa. I don't want to get here who was Kamsa, but Kamsa is not relevant for tonight. Kamsa, Bar Kamsa, one of them makes a party and he sends his servant to say, go and, a man makes a party in Yerushalayim, he sends his servant, go invite Kamsa. or Bal Kamsa, I don't know. And he goes, instead of going to Kamsa, he goes to Bal Kamsa. He invites him. He comes to the party. And it was really the enemy, not the friend. And at the party, the host who made the party sees his enemy sitting there at the table. Says, "Get out of my wedding." He says, "Please, don't embarrass me. I'll pay for my food. I'll pay for my plate. You won't lose anything because of me. Just don't throw me out of here in front of all these people." But it's a regular human request. You hate a person, but on a human level, he's asking you, "Don't throw me out of here. Don't embarrass me." It says, "I want you out." He makes a scene. Now everyone's watching now. "I'll pay half of your wedding expenses." You know how much money is a wedding today in the United States?
40,000.
$40,000, $50,000. I'll pay $25,000. Just don't throw me out of here. He says, "I want you gone. I'll pay for your whole wedding. Just don't embarrass me like this." And he gets his guys and they throw him out. What does he say? Bar Kamsa says, "Ho'il v'nochachu HaChachamim." The Chachamim were here, and they didn't say anything. Why didn't the Chachamim say anything?
Friend of Kamsa.
Who was this man here who was hosting the party? What?
The wealthy
A
man.
very wealthy man. You want to fight with rich people? You're going to lose your donors? You're afraid of fighting with the hand that feeds you? Woe to that kind of embarrassment. We live in a generation just like that. Today's shul is not about that. But if Chachamim who are afraid to take stances on real issues because they're afraid of upsetting the people who donate to them. But tonight I didn't come to talk about that, but that's a real problem. This is really the problem Yerushalayim is struggling with. I saw a Chacham who wrote a whole essay on this. The problem in the Bet Mikdash was the rabbinic leadership was owned by rich people who were not righteous people. And the Chachamim were puppets, like in a puppet show. So what does he do? He goes to the king. Which king?
The Jewish king.
Which king? No.
Or Roman.
The Roman. The Romans. The Romans are occupying Yerushalayim. What kind of Jew goes to the Romans? What? A traitor. But he's so upset at the Jewish community. And the rabbis who didn't say anything must mean they agree. He goes and he tells the Jews are going to rebel against you. What does a occupier do when he hears rebellion? Let's go crush the rebellion before it starts. He said, "How do you know they're rebelling?" He said, "Watch. Send them an animal to sacrifice in their temple. See if they accept it." They send an animal. On the way to the Bet Mikdash, Bar Kamsa hurts the animal in a way that a non-Jew would still consider it a complete animal, but he knew halakha well enough to know that according to halakha, we can't offer an animal with this kind of blemish in the Bet Mikdash. They bring it. Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas was there. And he said, "I don't know what to do. On one hand, if I bring this offering, people are going to think that you can bring such an animal to the Bet Mikdash. On the other hand, if I don't do it, the Jewish people will..." And he was not sure. The Roman emperor saw that nothing was happening, and he came out to destroy Yerushalayim. Because if two stupid people had to fight at a wedding. Rabbi Yochanan argues. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Bet Mikdash was not destroyed by Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. Bet Mikdash was destroyed by Rabbi Zechariah. I would never say such a thing about Rabbi Zechariah. By his humility, he destroyed the Bet Mikdash. Here you see another message I didn't come to talk about tonight. When Chachamim refused to take ownership of issues that are facing the Jewish people, and they're debating, do we do this, do we do that, and they become paralyzed, that's when the Bet Mikdash gets destroyed. If the Chachamim don't lead, who's going to lead? But because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, the Bet Mikdash was destroyed. Ask Rav Chaim David Halevy. I don't understand. Chachamei Israel don't know history. They don't know about the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was taking over the whole world. At least that part of the region of the world that they were familiar with. Who's going to stop the Roman machine? The Romans were killing people right and left, massacring nations. You think because of Kamsa, Bar Kamsa, that's the reason why the Bet Mikdash was destroyed? It would happen anyways. How could you blame all of this on two people who were fighting? Miskinim, pity on them. The rest of Jewish history, we think Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. It's Kamsa, but Kamsa. Not because the Romans were evil people. Not because they were an unstoppable force. A military power. That's the reason that Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, says Rabbi Yonatan Halevy. Are HaShamayim oblivious to this fact? They don't know. They don't know that the Romans were a huge force. I must read you this paragraph in Hebrew because I can't say it the way Rabbi Yonatan Halevy does. אבל כאן רצו רבותינו ללמדנו דבר גדול ונפלא. Here our rabbis wish to teach us something enormous, something amazing. על כל הצרות יכולה אומה להתגבר. A nation can overcome any tragedy, any terror that comes its way. Any obstacle in the way of a nation can overcome. גם על מעצמה עולמית כרומא שנעצה ציפורניה בבשרה. Even a world power, a superpower like Rome, whose nails went into the flesh of the Jewish people could overcome that occupation. גם על משברים מדיניים קשים תוכל להתגבר. Even with political breakdown of power, a nation can overcome that. ובכל מצב צבאי שהיא נתונה בו תוכל להיחלץ ולצאת בשלום. In any kind of military force that would come in, so you could run away, you could hide in the basement. There's a way to overcome military powers. ובלבד שתהיה מאוחדת ומלוכדת. But that's on condition that the nation is united, is bound together. חדורת אהבה פנימית כנה בין כל חלקי האומה, with true, honest love between all the factions of a nation. כי סיבת החורבן האמיתית היא שנאת חינם ופירוד הלבבות. Because the real source of our destruction was the fact that the Jewish people had split up so far, they could not stand by each other. וסיפורו של בר קמצא, the story of בר קמצא, הוא הסימפטום לאותה שנאת חינם שגרמה לחורבן. That is the symptom of that hatred that existed in the Jewish people that brought about our destruction of our Beit HaMikdash. See, we could overcome Rome. We've overcome greater nations. We could have overcome the fact that the Jewish political entity was falling to pieces. We could have overcome that if we agreed to be together as one people. But we chose instead to fight. And because we fought within, no nation can survive civil war. No nation can survive when a nation refuses to be a nation. How ugly was it? Don't think sinat chinam, like that person didn't say Shabbat Shalom to me, so now I'm upset at them. That's not sinat chinam. You want to know the extent of the sinat chinam? To understand the extent of sinat chinam, you must open up the Gemara to the 5th chapter of Gittin and to read a story about the people called the Biryonim. The Biryonim were what you call today zealots. They were warriors, strong Jews. And the zealots, the Biryonim and the Chachamim, were arguing with each other. See, Jerusalem was surrounded by the Romans for a very long time. You know how long? Years the Romans surrounded the Jewish people. Do you know how hard it is to siege somebody? Ask an Israeli soldier who has to stand somewhere on a post, check post, and Arabs are making fun of them all day long, throwing things at them all, and they're not allowed to shoot. They can't speak, they just have to stand. Sometimes the soldier has to do 8 hours straight like that. 8 hours. What it's like for a nation to be standing mamash. Man, I'm not comparing you. Simcha's right outside the door, ready to wipe out the Jewish people, and we're just sitting here. You know, like it's to be on this standoff for years and years and years. People are going crazy inside Yerushalayim. The Biryonim say, forget about this. We're going to go to war. Let's go fight the Romans, so we'll die. Suicide anyways, they're going to kill us tomorrow. We might as well die fighting. The Chachamim say, listen, you're not going to win. Let's send a delegation of our politicians, our rabbis, out of the walls of Yerushalayim. Let's make peace with the Romans. Let's make peace. What do you want, guys? You want to destroy Beit HaMikdash? No, we don't care about your Beit HaMikdash. What do you want? You want ownership over us? You want to occupy us? Fine. So the Romans will die out in 100 years, 200 years. We'll get back Yerushalayim. The story will be over. How long could the Jewish people have sat in the siege? There were 3 wealthy men. One of them was a man named Kalba Savua. He was the father-in-law of Rabbi Akiva. They had enough food stored in Yerushalayim to last them for 21 years. You know what could change in 21 years? The geography changed. Politics change. Rome decides, hey, this is not worth surrounding a little city like Jerusalem. Let's go the other direction. Maybe another country fights against Rome. Maybe, who knows what could happen in 21 years? The Chachamim say, let's just sit it out. We have food. We have each other. We're not going to die here. Let's wait. What's the rush? The Bironim say, we don't want to talk to you. We're going to force you to war. In the middle of the night, the Bironim go and they burn down all the storehouses of the food. The Jewish people wake up without food to eat. And the Bironim force the Jewish people to go to war. A war that they lose. The Beit HaMikdash is destroyed. All because we couldn't wait it out for 21 years. That's how much the Bironim hated the Chachamim. The Chachamim are wrong. It's not unreasonable to say why do we have to go to war? And Bironim, you disagree with the Chachamim? So pull up a chair, have a conversation. Talk about it. But what kind of people go on a suicide mission? To burn down your own food? To hurt yourself? Who does that? And it's not just the Bironim. It's not just Bar Kamsa. Those of you who've read books of history know how many Jews helped the Romans. In fact, we know the reason why the Romans were waiting to invade Yerushalayim was because they heard the Jewish people are fighting in between themselves. And they figured, let's siege them. Let's crisis fall in between them. They'll wipe each other out. We won't even have to do the dirty work. And they were right. Who told them? Traitors. Jewish traitors. We're reading a book now, Torah from the Days of Wrath, by Rabbi Dr. Abramson. He's the dean of Touro University. He wrote a book about the Piasetzner Rebbe and goes through every speech the Piasetzner Rebbe wrote in the Holocaust and what was happening in the Warsaw Ghetto at the time. In there he has a chapter about the kapos. I don't know if you know what kapos are. Kapos are Jews that worked for the Nazis. To round up Jews, to take numbers of Jews. They did all the dirty work for the Nazis. Do you know that the kapos didn't get paid? You know, I found out the kapos, they had to buy their own bikes, their own whistles, and their own uniforms. The kapos had to buy Nazi uniforms to wear from the Nazis. The Nazis will make fun of them. Oh, look at them. They bought their own bike to hurt their own people. So why did the kapos do it? They thought that they would get some kind of kavod, some kind of honor. Oh, look, the Nazis are going to think we're different Jews. We're not like those Jews. We're cool Jews. They went to the same gas chambers. They were murdered by the same guns, the same bullets, the same SS soldiers. How much can you hate your own people that you're willing to collaborate with the Nazis? How much can you hate your own people that you want to burn down the food that you have? How much can you hate your own people that you say, I'm Jewish and I hate Israel? How much can you hate your own people? I'm Jewish, but those Orthodox Jews, they're trash. They're not like us. I'm Jewish, but those Reformed Jews, I hate them. Who are you helping here? You're helping those who hate us. You have a problem with other Jews? Sit down and talk to them. Or don't talk to them. But to fight them? To hate them? Hayu ahavim et hamamon. They loved money. V'sonim sinat chinam. They had baseless hatred for each other. Chaim David Halevy says, you know, our generation is not so bad. We're not burning down each other's houses. We're not signing up to help the Nazis, but we're close. What I mean, we're close? We're willing to sell each other out. Those Jews, I don't like them. These Jews, I don't like them. Are you allowed to criticize other Jews? Absolutely. Are you allowed to absolutely hate and despise the way that other Jews do things? Absolutely. But to what end? What are you trying to accomplish? If you're trying to accomplish that they should change, so speak with them, engage them. If you're trying to accomplish that they should get along with you, so show kindness and compassion to each other. If you're trying to accomplish that they won't influence you for the bad, So then just keep away quietly, nicely. Shalom, shalom. Nice to see you. Shabbat. And keep moving. But to be willing to sell each other out, to hate each other so much that if I could, you know what I would do to them? Tisha B'Av. I can't solve all the problems in the world. We could try to solve some of them. Something that puts me at no ease is the face of the Jewish community that I see. Just can't get along with each other. Ourselves included. We're part of a greater San Diego Jewish community. I don't care who started it. You go to your parents. If you know him, it doesn't make a difference who started it. But the fact that there's a community in San Diego that's broken up into so many pieces should bother somebody. It should hurt somebody. I'm not just talking about the Orthodox factions. All the factions. All of Am Yisrael. At the end of the day, we're all Jewish. We all have the same Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. Our hope, our aspiration has to be on Tisha B'Av is what you might call Ahavat Chinam. To love other people in a way that even those people that walk by us and don't say Shabbat Shalom to us, even those people that won't eat our food, or we're not Jewish enough to pray with them, to say if they needed our help, we would be there for them. If they needed help with a minyan, we'd be there for them. If they needed help with food, we'd help them out. If they needed help paying their rent, we'd try to collect money to help them. How much longer can we keep doing this for? How much longer can Am Yisrael keep fighting? I'm not telling you to agree. We don't have to agree with somebody. I believe the Torah in which we follow, the HaShamayim which we follow, if it's Rav Uziel, if it's Rav Masas, if it's Rav Chaim David Halevy, if it's Maran the Shulchan Aruch, if it's Rav Peretz, the Chachamim that we follow have a very distinct path to Judaism. It's a very unique approach to Torah and Mitzvot. Do I believe it's the right one? Absolutely. Do I believe everybody else is wrong? Absolutely not. Do I think there are major problems with the way other Jewish communities run? Of course. But why should I get in the way of being one people? You've never met somebody before that you don't agree with? You don't have any brothers or sisters that you don't agree with, but you still love them and dance with them and sing with them? Tisha B'Av is a reminder to the Jewish people to remember Maaseh Avotenu Hara'im, the evil actions of our forefathers, that we still uphold. Le'orer et levavot, to awaken the hearts. Liftoach darchei teshuvah, to open up the roads to teshuvah, says the Rambam. Because murder, Avodah Zarah, lasted 70 years. But we're still burning each other down to the ground. If we would be under siege, we'd care only about ourselves. And Hashem says, and the Rambam codifies, if you think that the Beit HaMikdash is destroyed today because of something somebody else did, you don't even begin to understand Tisha B'Av. The Beit HaMikdash is destroyed because we can't get along with each other. Well, you say, but I would get along with him. It doesn't make a difference who started it. It doesn't make a difference who's at fault. If it doesn't happen, if there is no peace among Am Yisrael, then when will the Beit HaMikdash ever be built? We're speaking in the last few weeks about a Sanhedrin, building a Sanhedrin, getting all the Jews to agree in one form of Jewish government. You think that we can accomplish that if we won't even talk to each other? You think we can do that? I'll tell you, I don't speak politics. But this is not politics, this is Judaism. In Israel, we always had right-wing and left-wing, religious and non-religious. It always happened. Since the Jewish people founded their own state. One thing we didn't used to do. When it came to Judaism, when it came to our politics, when it came to our state of Israel, we kept our dirty laundry to ourselves. Likud and Labor need to fight it out in the Knesset. Ultra-Orthodox and anti-Orthodox need to fight it out in Jerusalem. But why are you going out to the UN? Why are you going to the President of the United States? Why are you going to the Prime Minister of England? Why are you going to other people to ask them, complain to them about your political problems? What right do they have to interfere in our life? And why are we willing to sell out other people to accomplish our own goals? How long are we going to keep... Hey guys.
No.
How long are we going to keep doing this to each other? How long are we going to throw each other under the bus? And Tisha B'Av is a time for us to remember. It's not an abstract idea. Sinat chinam, we hate each other for no good reason. But to say, I would never, ever, ever, ever betray Am Yisrael. Even if it means compromising a little bit. Doing things that we don't always agree with. What did I say today from the Midrash? The Midrash says that if the Jewish people all worship idols but they're together, Hashem will never harm them. But if we do the right thing, but we're all split apart, any force in the world can take us apart. It's our job. And you know, it might be that we don't accomplish it this year. So we'll sit Tisha B'Av another year. Thank you. It might be that we won't be successful, but we must try. We must say that Tisha B'Av is a time for us to remember that our actions reflect the actions of our forefathers who hated each other. And we're doing the same thing. And even if we don't feel it, our job has to be peace. To call out to the whole world. We are friends. Ani chaver, what did the Bible say? Ani chaver lechol asher yirucha. I am a friend to anyone who fears you, Hashem. To anyone who's part of your people. I'll help them. I'll be there for them. B'ezrat Hashem, you'll see us come back home. You see us build the Beit HaMikdash together. But that's a big job. It's a lot of work. And instead of sitting down on the floor and crying, it's better for us to stand up and to extend a hand to anybody that we can. To hear. You hear something, you see something, be involved. Take Am Yisrael as part of you. Our HaShamayim tells us that a person who believes in Hashem and believes in Torah but doesn't believe in Am Yisrael does not believe in Hashem. Am Yisrael is a belief. We're a people. We're a family. We're the children of one Father. And our job is to get together and to show all the Romans and the Greeks and the Iranians and whoever else is coming and lurking over the Jewish people, you can never touch us because we're together, because we're one. Yachad Shiftei Israel. When the Jewish tribes of Israel are together, they spell out the word Yisha, Yachad, Yud, Shiftei, Shin, Israel, Yud. The Baalei Harem say, the son of Yishai will come. When we're able to become, even though we're different tribes, we can be different, but to sit together. Once we sit together, all the other problems of the world fall to the wayside, and we'll be able to go back home. B'ezrat Hashem. Ata takum tachem Tzion. Hashem, it's time for you to get up and to have compassion on Tzion. Ki et lechenana ki v'moed. It's the time has come for us to go home. How much longer can we sit? Ufduye Adonai yishuvun. The captives of Tzion, us, you are a captive of Tzion. You're a prisoner of war. Ufduye Adonai yishuvun uva'u Tzion berina. The captives of Tzion should return back home, singing and dancing. B'ezrat Hashem, the day will come. But for the next 25 hours, our job is to not forget that we're still here for a reason. And that reason is on us. Because in every generation the Beit HaMikdash is not built, we are the reason why it is destroyed. Let us be the generation that sees the Beit HaMikdash be rebuilt because we were truly worthy of it. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see everybody here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.